So when you started Synaptic, what were some of the big things that you tackled first? I'm familiar with you guys maybe about 4 or 5 years now, so you were pretty established by then. But what were some of the big things that you tackled first to actually make the products that we see today?
So the big ones we tackled first was really trying to take the sensory station and get it more functional for what we wanted to present to the world, right? And the strobes, like those were the two big pieces. Those are our core products. We're constantly developing and making them better and expanding what they can do and how they operate and function, and also trying to always improve the price point, right? That's because again, the key is to try to get it to as many people as possible. So those two products work hand in hand, or they work on their own separately. So the sensory station can do an assessment, which assesses 10 areas of vision. And then those are kind of key performance areas that we would say in most environments. And then we can actually look at where you sit compared to a peer group average. If you're let's say an NFL quarterback, you're comparing against those and you see if you're above or below average. And then it gives you a protocol on the side that says, train these areas of opportunity, because that's where you're kind of below average, and that's all you got to focus on. And that'll probably help in other areas of your vision performance as well. So that assessment is really good to have and get a starting point and an understanding. And then from there, you can start training on the system as well. And then we also have a take-home app that clinics can provide to their clients, which then can work some of the training from their own home tablets. And then we also have the strobe, which is that key item, which is really resistance tool for vision. Really, it's like a dumbbell for your eyes. Let's put it that way, right?
Yes. Yes.
And not your eyeballs, but how you're processing the information.
Yes. And I actually have one of the strobes here so that people can see what we're actually talking about. So the strobe that we actually have in the clinic, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see that it's blinking. And these are things that you wear for motor tasks, hand-eye coordination tasks. And it's something that we find tremendous value in, as you really know. To give some of the listeners more ideas as to what we're actually talking about with the vision sensory motor training. Why don't you elaborate just real briefly on the 10 areas of vision and sensory training that you're assessing in that scan?
Well, let's just try to get into maybe instead of each one and explaining them, but let's just kind of focus on blocks, let's say. So there's a couple that we look at, which are vision clarity, which is like your normal eye test, like your eye chart test, just to see where you're sitting. And then there's contrast sensitivity. And those two are kind of related in a sense. So if we see something going on there, we're going to say, go see a vision expert, especially a performance vision expert, and see if you can get things corrected to the right place, right? Because that's going to help your vision right off the bat. Yes. If the hardware is working well, the better camera lens, you're going to get better information and clearer information. Yes. So after that, we start getting into a couple different areas, I'd say. There's some that start dealing with perception span, which starts going around how you're perceiving, how you're able to move your eyes from close to far and focus and recognize targets, how you're able to recognize moving targets, so dynamic vision, multiple object tracking concepts of how can you see and track multiple objects that say like your players in a pool of other players, right? And you understand where they're at and being able to see them at all times instead of having to be focused on just one single point. And then we start getting into the hand-eye coordination and decision-making tasks. So those are kind of the big areas that happen within the testing, because those are important no matter where we are in society and what we're doing.